Chapter 227. Among the Priests. The few chief priests who returned from the Highland expedition reported, of course, to the few chief priests who remained at home, how their expedition has failed miserably to the highest degree. And when hearing such saddest news from the general priests, they almost tore their heads from their bodies because of the disappointing news. And they also began to revile over the imprudent attack. The general priests, however, said, "Reviling is easier than fighting. A third of the entire army is still available. Get up and fight yourself. And if you then, like us, will return unsuccessful, then you will be surprised how we can revile about your failed mission. Sitting here in the dry, it is easy to talk, to curse, to make very pernicious plans. But just go out there, and you will very quickly find out from which side the wind is blowing." We have driven about 500 shafts through the otherwise impassable mountains, and victory should have been ours. But can we help it if the Highland rogues were watching us from their damnable hiding places above what we are doing? Then calculate with devilish accuracy where we are going to break through, and then make large fires at those points, so that when breaking through, we were overcome by fire, smoke and vapour, killing us by the thousands and thousands in the long, dark shafts. And when we then made 3 bitter attacks on the main gate, we were greeted each time with countless stones from the high walls, and lost our lives by the thousands. Through this lesson we learned to recognize that the cursed Highlanders are impossible to defeat, neither by ruse nor by whatever means of violence. If we had only listened to the counsellor whom we had flogged and stoned in front of the city gates, we would be much better off now. The only thing we need now is for the other part of our army to experience a similar fate, and we are done for." Upon this reply, the chief priests who stayed behind sulked even more, and even began to threaten the field generals. But the field generals said, "What are you talking about? We have the power in our hands. If you do not immediately fall silent like a wall in front of us, you will feel in your fat paunches our weapon-handling skills." Here, the 2 chief priestly parties attacked each other, and tussled and dishevelled each other like dogs and cats. And from that moment on, the chief priests divided themselves into 2 hostile parties. And the people of Hanoch did not know now who was the cook and who was the waiter. They waited for another 3 years in this division on the effects of the other army, but in vain, because they had walked over to the provinces and killed their own generals and everyone who were loyal to them. What emerged from that? The following will show.